So in the anti-narrative that you proposed, you're approaching the shadows. Can the meaning that emerges, can it be slippery even in performance? As in, can you design a performance where the meaning can be slippery? Like you don't know what the meaning from your own point of view as a designer is going to emerge. You let it be slippery on purpose so that...
I love you for asking that. You absolutely can design it, and in typical anti-narrativist vein, you absolutely cannot design it. It depends not so much on the director. In my experience, this depends more on the actor. If the director with this viewpoint finds an actor who in fact is in sync with what he's saying, then of course you can do it. Because when you talk of slippery, you also talk of the phrase slippery slope. You are placing your actor on that slope. And if the actor can trust in himself as much as he trusts in you, then he can be on that, because there are no safety nets then. And it's wonderful if you can do a performance without a safety net. In fact, I've written about this in an article back in the 90s when we were doing Antim Din in STQ, Seagull Theatre Quarterly. So I'll take a minute just to say that. I was watching a performance of Ratan Thiam's Andha Yog in Academy of Fine Arts. And there was this scene where the chorus is moving around doing their movements, and one of them fell off the stage. As he fell off the stage, my attention went to him. And later, I wondered, because I kept on watching what was happening there. Kuch log aaye, usse utha ke le gaye, wo uthne ki koshish kar raha tha. He couldn't get back onto stage. Meanwhile, the show was continuing on stage. Now that is slipperiness. And that kind of an actor going off the edge is what I turned into what at that time I considered my theory. Since then I found at least 2 million other theatre people have thought the same, that all of us have a circle of performance. Whether we are actors, whether we are directors, whether we are housewives, whether we are chess players, whether we are anybody at all. And whether we admit it or not, whether we are aware of it or not, we are always moving within our circle of performance. For the kind of director and actor who need to create this slippery moment or the slippery performance, you need to be aware of your circle of performance, and then you need to go to the edge and say, I'm going to jump off. And then your circle of performance expands. And then the next time you have to jump off from there. This is theatre at the edge, which I'm afraid, at least in my limited viewing of the theatre in our country, we find little of, except again when we go into perhaps folk theatre performances, where people are trying things without knowing these concepts or without bothering about them. Because there are only two ways you can do this, either with complete unawareness or with complete awareness.
Can I just add to this? एक इसी तरह का हादसा मेरे नाटक के जो मैंने पहला नाटक किया था क्षितिज, the same kind of similar kind of incident happened at the same time. The first performance जिसमें 10 मिनट के बाद मेरा जो को एक्टर था उसका हाथ मुझे लग गया और I started bleeding like anything on the stage. और जो नहीं था वो अचानक यकायक शुरू हो गया और नया नाटक ही शुरू हो गया. I didn't stop on the stage. I continued, but the play completely changed. And Vijay Tendulkar asked me whether it was purposefully done by you or the other actor, and I said no, it was an accident. But he said, try to do this kind of accident all the time on the stage. And I think that changed the whole narration. But that kind of awareness that anything can change, and it will give additional value or change the meaning of the play, probably.
Shelly, hi, I'm Vedant. Hi, here. I have a question for you. you clearly said your style of children theatre is different from what Grips is. So is it different in the narrative style or its philosophy, or is it the acting part that makes it different? So how different is it from Grips?
Oh, I dreaded this question in Pune. Grips, yes. Grips is a particular kind of political theatre, political for the artists, more so than for the children, unfortunately. It is about moving from what it started. In Germany. It is about moving away from the fairy tales. It was about moving into the space of the here and now, into the context of the lived life of the audience, and to the problems that your real audience lives and faces. So it's a particular type of narration, it's a particular type of social background that is depicted, and unfortunately many, I won't say all, many of the Grips inspired productions in India continue with the same narrative which the Grips people did 30-40 years ago, without being sensitive to the audience, its context, socially, culturally and otherwise, which actually doesn't serve the purpose of Grips. That's not what I work on, because my plays are based on the stories that I read. They don't have to be about the audience background. They could be about anything. So I've done a play about a fairy. I've done a story which is based on a rural child's life and the challenges they face, and plays about animals, about imaginary characters. So yeah. Fantasy is not such a strong part in Grips. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. My question is for Shadi, and I'm drawing on my observation about children's literature basically. We generally observe, I mean this could be true about different Indian languages also, that if one is supposed to write a story for children, then it is supposed to be very simple and it should come with some inference, some kind of, the Bodh Katha that you call it in Marathi or in Hindi. So do you think that doing children's theatre also toes the same line? That's one part of my question. Second, continuing on this, how would you see the complexities in doing children's theatre? Like, if you have some feedback from children, do you see that children understand certain complexities or not? Or do we have to keep everything simple so that the children, this could be a misconception, I totally agree with that, but I would like you to elaborate on this as a director.
So, I think the way I look at it is, I don't do plays for children to make them simple or to make them complex. I do plays about what I want to see, about the stories that excite me as an adult. And they're stories then that I share through the plays that I create. So then in the staging, what we use and how we frame the entire performance, then that depends on who my audience is in terms of the age. So the last clip that I showed, I do not allow children above 4 years in the audience. If they're there, we pick them out and say, you go play outside. Because they start bullying the smaller children just by their presence. So I don't look at it in this black and white, simple, complex kind of way. It's more about what stories excite me and that which I want to share with an audience. And then I find my ways of that sharing, of how to create it. Coming to generally the perceptions of theatre for children, yes, generally the perceptions are that we have to teach something. Generally the perceptions are that some things have to be explained, they have to learn something. I don't subscribe to any of that, and I don't care if children learn something or they don't. Because if anything is done with what, since morning we've been hearing about this whole aspect of truth. So if there's certain truthfulness in the way you approach your storytelling, it may be visual, it may be fragmented, it may be linear or whatever else. I think children respond and connect and respond to that. And there's a certain sensibility with which if we approach the themes that are there in one's work, the learnings will always be there for the child or for the adult. And also the learnings from what is not shown, as Vinay mentioned. So I don't think this simple, complex argument holds true, at least not for me.
So hi, this question is for all three of you. Basically, I come from a community which believes that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Now, when the three of you spoke, I got a very distinct impression that your own personalities play obviously a very big role in defining the narrative that comes forth through your work. Is there any sort of conscious effort on your parts, all three of you, where you think about what it is that you want to achieve from any new production, any new art form that you're exploring, any new process that you're exploring? Or, I mean, it could be pure entertainment, it could be let's educate and entertain, whatever. But is there one key question that starts the process and then defines the narrative?
मेरे लिए नाटक करना पहले से ही एक डिस्टर्बिंग सिचुएशन मेरे लिए हमेशा रहती है. आई एम ऑलवेज I am a bit disturbed every time by situations, what is happening around me, a lot of questions, metaphysical also, and how to live. Because say when I was up to 15, I completely full of inferiority kind of complex was there inside me. मुझे पता ही नहीं चल रहा था कि मेरा ज़िंदगी का मकसद क्या है. मैं कुछ भी कर नहीं सकता था और मैंने कभी कोशिश नहीं की, लेकिन मेरे मन में बहुत बार आत्महत्या करने की और इस दुनिया से मेरा कुछ जमता नहीं है, ऐसा मुझे कई बार लगा था. लेकिन थिएटर गिव्स सडनली एक्सीडेंट हैपन, somebody took me in the play and I got prize and people start कि अरे यार आपको ये करना आता है. तो मुझे एक महसूस ये हुआ कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ और दिस इज द मीडियम वेयर आई कैन कनेक्ट विद द पीपल, कनेक्ट विद द सराउंडिंग. मैंने जो बात उठाई 1990 की, आई एम ऑन दैट वर्ज. आई हैव सीन सो मेनी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ प्लेस एंड द कंप्लीट चेंज एब्सोल्युटली. Probably we are the representative. I am watching Vinay's work for the last couple of years, and I think our journey is very similar. एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जाना और खुद का एक जो सच की खोज है कि what is the meaning, not only the meaning in the जैसे कि हम हर बार कहते हैं कि जिंदगी का अर्थ क्या, इस तरह से नहीं, लेकिन the time has completely changing. The dialogue and the discussion and the interaction, the reactions completely change. Whenever I go to the other places and मैं तो बहुत ही जगह जगह पे घूमने वाला घुमक्कड़ आदमी हूँ, तो पता नहीं चलता कि ये लोग क्या हो रहा है अभी के जिंदगी में और इससे मेरा ताल्लुक क्या है. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये ढूंढने की कोशिश हर बार मैंने नाटकों के जरिए करता रहता हूँ, नंबर एक. नंबर दो, खुद के अस्तित्व को अर्थ कैसे मिले, क्योंकि एवरी टाइम यू फील दैट एवरीथिंग इज फ्यूटाइल, नथिंग इज दैट मच इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड मीनिंगलेस समटाइम्स लगता है. लेकिन जब घूमता हूं और दूसरे लोगों के साथ काम करता हूं, जैसे कि मराठी थिएटर का एक अपना अपना काम करने का तरीका है, एक बोलने की रंग भाषा है, वो मुझे तोड़ने की बहुत जरूरत लगती है। और द ऑडियंस इज द सेम, एक्टर्स आर द सेम, द नोशंस आर द सेम, तो ये टूट कैसे जाए? और एक जो मिडिल क्लास मीडियोक्रिटी जो इर्द गिर्द है और मुझ में भी है, वो खुद में से एक निकल कैसे जाए, ये ढूंढने की हर वक्त मेरी तरफ से एक कोशिश रहती है। और इसका एक माध्यम नाटक होता है, और नाटक का जो कंटेंट रहता है, आई हैव अ ग्रेट इन्फ्लुएंस कि जो मैं करना चाहता हूं वो नाटक के जरिए जो सामने रखता हूं, तो आपके सामने जो नाटक हो रहा है, दैट इज माई स्टेट ऑफ माइंड एवरी टाइम। वो चेंज भी हो सकती है, और चेंज होती है तो रिहर्सल्स के दरमियान और शोज के दरमियान भी वो लगातार इसमें बदलाव आता है। लेकिन मेरे लिए नाटक सिर्फ एक नैरेटिव बोलना ये नहीं मकसद, ये पूरी जिंदगी का अर्थ क्या है और हाउ टू कनेक्ट विद द थिंग्स, ये मेरे लिए अहम मुद्दा, एक मेटाफिजिकल लेवल का भी एक सवाल मन में मौजूद रहता है।
सत्यदेव दुबे जी फेमसली यूज्ड टू से, मैं थिएटर इसलिए करता हूं क्योंकि मुझे खुजली होती है। एंड आई थिंक दैट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू कीप इन माइंड, बिकॉज very often what happens is that we attribute motives to our own work, which is actually midway through the process or by the end of the process. And let's face facts, that does happen. Unless we are only grounded in one particular kind of theater or one particular kind of political ideology, तो ठीक है, या हमारा कोई cause है, commitment है, तो हम उसी के लिए करें. Otherwise, if you are a creative person, it is not possible for you to know all the time कि आप ये किस लिए कर रहे हैं. और इसमें एक और सवाल मैं करना चाहता हूं, या एक बात आपसे शेयर करना चाहता हूं जो आप सब ने भी शायद कभी ना कभी सोचा होगा. ये जो हम लेबल करते हैं कि भाई ये पेंटिंग जो है ये फिगरेटिव है, ये एब्स्ट्रैक्ट है, लेकिन ये एब्स्ट्रैक्ट पेंटिंग तो काफी खूबसूरत है, लेकिन जब हम थिएटर हॉल में आकर कोई एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट काम देखते हैं, बोलते यार ये तो समझ नहीं आ रहा है. आप अगर पेंटिंग जब देखते हैं उसे एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लेबल करके उसको समझने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं, तो जब आप थिएटर देखते हैं तो ये सवाल उठता ही क्यों है? सो देयरफॉर दिस फैक्ट ऑफ पर्पस happens because there is too much of identification, and I will be unpopular for saying this, there is too much of identification, especially in our country, of theatre with the political realm. It does not need to be so. We are first of all creative artists, otherwise we can also become political creatures and very bad creative artists. And it's important for anyone who is in the theatre or who is going forward in the theatre to remember and know this. If you can actually marry your cause to your art and do it well, that means you are brilliant. But that brilliance does not come easily, and it does not come all the time. But it is important to know कि हम थिएटर इसलिए भी करते हैं क्योंकि हमें खुजली होती है.
Would you like to add to that, Mr. Pete, because you definitely work with a very political firm? Respond to that maybe.
नहीं, विनय का कहने का मतलब कुछ अलग है. मुझे ऐसा नहीं लग रहा कि मैं जिस तरह का पॉलिटिकल काम जिसको बोलता हूँ, आई एम नॉट अ मेंबर ऑफ एनी कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी और एनी सोशल लाइट ग्रुप. यदि मैंने अंधश्रद्धा निर्मूलन समिति के लिए आफ्टर द ब्रूटल असैसिनेशन ऑफ नरेंद्र दाभोलकर, उनके लिए यदि नाटक मैंने जगह जगह पे किए, लेकिन मेरे वो दोस्त थे और एक दोस्त की हत्या दिन दहाड़े पूना में होती है, इसके लिए मुझे गुस्सा आ गया और वो गुस्सा मैं निकालना चाहता था, और नाटक यही एक मेरा माध्यम है. लेकिन फॉर दैट पर्पज आई वॉज कंप्लीटली आर्टिस्ट. सो मैं मराठी में यह कहता है कि मैं एक अंधश्रद्धा निर्मूलन समिति का प्रवक्ता हूं, कार्यकर्ता नहीं हूं. कार्यकर्ता होने के बाद आप क्रीचर बन जाते हैं, लेकिन आई एम कंप्लीटली. देखिए, मैंने जब सत्यशोधक नाम का नाटक जो किया था, एब्सोल्युटली इट वाज समथिंग हैपेंड बिटवीन द टू फ्रेंड्स. क्योंकि मैंने एक फिल्म बनाई थी कचरा कोंडी नाम की, इट वाज ऑल अबाउट द स्वेज वर्कर्स. वो देखते देखते मुझे लगने लगा कि ये दुनिया मैंने देखी ही नहीं है, और वो जो लोग थे वो बिल्कुल अलग बातें करते हैं, उनकी जो टोन्स है, वॉइसेस है, कंप्लीटली अलग है. और मुझे ये गुस्सा आता था कि मिडिल क्लास मीडियोकर एंड जो शहर में रहने वाले लोग हैं जो थिएटर करते हैं, उनकी आवाज से ये अलग है. तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि इनसे मुझे मेरी दोस्ती हो सकती है, और शायद नया कुछ जो सच है वो इसमें से निकल जाएगा, समझ में मेरे आ जाएगा. इसलिए उनके साथ मैंने नाटक किया. इसलिए नहीं किया कि मैं ज्योतिबा फुले का नाटक करना चाहता था, मैंने इसलिए नाटक किया क्योंकि वो लोग मुझे अच्छे लग रहे थे, और उनके जरिए एक अनुभव उनकी तरफ से मुझे मिल रहा था, और वो जो अनुभव था वो अनुभव लेने के लिए वो नाटक मैंने किया. नो डाउट अबाउट दैट, एक हद के बाद समझ में आने लगता है कि जिस तरह की वो जिंदगी जी रहे हैं उससे मेरा ताल्लुक है. आई कैन कंप्लीटली सिंपथाइज विद दिस पीपल, बट द मोटिव वॉज कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट. इसके बाद यकायक महीने बहुत सारे लोग आने लगे लास्ट 2 वर्ड्स, और मुझे कहने लगे कि आप अन्ना भाऊ साठे और दूसरे लोगों के साथ नाटक कीजिए. तो मुझे मैं रात भर सोया नहीं, और मुझे सोचा कि अब घर के बाहर पार्टी लगानी चाहिए, प्लेट लगानी चाहिए, यहाँ सब तरह के पॉलिटिकल और सोशल नाटक किए जाते हैं. तो दैट आई वांट टू अवॉइड, एंड दैट आई सडनली स्टार्टेड डूइंग आषाढ़ का एक दिन एंड अदर प्लेज ऑल्सो, एंड कंप्लीटली माय द न्यू वर्क. मैं तो अब स्टोरी के भी आगे निकल चुका हूं, और जो मैंने किमाया नाम का अभी एक रीडिंग बताया वो मैं करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि पॉलिटिकल, इसका मतलब पार्टी पॉलिटिकल नहीं है. आई एम अ पॉलिटिकल पर्सन, आई हैव ए स्टेटमेंट. जो हो रहा है, मेरे दोस्त थे जो जिनके साथ मैंने काम किया था, वो दाभोलकर और पानसरे साहब मैंने देखे. कल मेरी हत्या हो गई तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि विनय ऐसे ही बैठेगा और दूसरा एक ऐसा ही नाटक करेगा. इसका इन्फ्लुएंस किसी न किसी वजह से इसके जिंदगी के ऊपर और अनुभव के ऊपर होगा ही. And that is why I am a sensitive person. Otherwise, what is the point? I am not interested in doing the old plays, because probably why we are not doing that old plays, and precisely in my essay I have written that our plays are completely different than the Tendulkars and Alkars. I have made one film on Tendulkar and we asked Tendulkar कि हमारी गलती क्या हो रही है. तो तेंदुलकर साहब बोले कि आपकी गलती यह है कि आप दूसरे को उचकाते नहीं है, you don't provoke. And we are against the provoking. वो बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट जैसा गिरीश कर्नाड ने सतीश आयकर के नाटक के बारे में कहा था, उसके हम खिलाफ है. लेकिन हमारी जो रंग भाषा है, इस 20 साल में हम ढूंढने की लगातार कोशिश कर रहे हैं. इन्होंने जो नाटक किया था आत्मकथा नाम का नाटक, वही था आत्मकथा, लेकिन उनका इंटरप्रिटेशन एक पॉलिटिकल इंटरप्रिटेशन हमें दिखाई दे ही रहा था. थैंक यू.
Okay, so any other you wanted to ask a question? Okay. Yeah.
So in the protest, that the particular piece, you think it can't be done again because the situation still remains the same. The protest, the piece can't be done again. 1, 2, can't it be done in any other context by some other person? The 2 questions.
मैंने एक नाटक किया था यहाँ पे, रेड रैबिट एंड व्हाइट रैबिट. वो एक ही वक्त एक एक्टर कर सकता है. उसी तरह से जो प्रोटेस्ट था, इसकी जो मैजिक थी, अंदर से खून निकल रहा है और बाहर से खून निकल रहा है, इतना ही मुझे कहना था. और इट वॉज अ कंप्लीटली नंबिंग एक्सपीरियंस एट दैट टाइम. इट वॉज एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट, लेकिन इट वॉज माई रिएक्शन. It was almost like a installation kind of, the installation of a person. So I think वो फिर से करने में कोई मजा नहीं है. और that was a reaction somehow, disturbing reaction to all these people. I am very closely connected with all these people. I am not disconnected. I am not uprooted. यहाँ से मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता कि मैं इस समाज से भागकर कहीं पे जाके नाटक कर सकता हूँ. इसी समाज में रह के नाटक करना है, और इसी समाज से मैं बिल्कुल अंदर से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ.
I'm a storyteller and I tell stories to adults and children. Adults तो manipulative होते हैं, वो बोल देते हैं बहुत अच्छा लगा. Children बोल देते हैं कि नहीं लगा तो नहीं लगा. तो I get to learn many things from children every time. and it was a very nice presentation by you to know many more things which I am always thinking of. And as somebody mentioned just now, that the organizers have this condition when they arrange my storytelling session, that there should be some moral. So children should learn, there should be some takeaway. And I strongly refute, I say I will not come there, because I have experienced that even if I try to tell some moral, it's not necessary that the children will take that point. That would be the takeaway point. They might take something different. So I cannot predict what children will take away. So I will not pretend, or I will not try to do that. In that context, when I started with reading stories of famous people who wrote stories for children, and I started tweaking the stories based on response from the children. The thing happens is, when I try to read something from the book, the children feel unattended. The children feel that this is not for us. The person is reading for himself. So while doing it for children, we have to involve the children. And I like the photographs and how you did it in the play. I know it's much more difficult to do it in a play than a storytelling session, because in a storytelling session I can do it on my own, but involving so many people and arranging all the properties. My question is, did you want to do this from the first attempt, or did it evolve for you, and what was that process to know that this should be done this way and not like the morals and preaching, that kind of way? So what was your trigger point, I want to know?
I was very clear that I didn't want to work in the space of morals and value education. That I was very clear from the beginning. Because before I started making plays for children, for about 5 to 6 years, I watched a lot of plays that were being made for children, and I would watch them with children. And a lot of my understanding of children as an audience is, I would go to watch a play, but I would watch the audience and the children are watching the play. So definitely right from the beginning, this whole moral thing is not there. And I get asked this question by almost every journalist whenever I'm doing a new play, or if they are seeing my play for the first time, or from parents, and especially teachers and principals when they invite us. So the thing is that any play, whether it's for children or whether it's for adults, it doesn't matter. I think any play, without putting a moral at the end of the play or a story, itself has a lot that it triggers for the audience. So my conversation with the decision makers is that the play is there to trigger something in the children, or it's there to stimulate certain ideas or open up their perspective, push them to start thinking in different ways, or not feel that, you know, we can't have our own perspective on things. So I think this whole idea of moral is extremely problematic, especially in today's day and age. And those who are stuck in that space, I prefer not to work with them at all. So it's a choice you have to make in which organizers you want to work with.
We can take one last question, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for these talks. I also had a question for you, Shaili. You had a lot of things that you said about how you restrict yourself in specific ways. You know, if there's a 4-year-old in this performance, then you have to send it out for a while because it might bully the younger students. You don't want to have a narrator. You don't want to have morals, all of which is, you know, fine. But it seems to me that this is not necessarily a narrative question, but also an aesthetic one that imposes a certain set of formal kind of limitations on what you produce and how you produce it. And I was wondering if you could reflect a little bit on the aesthetics of your productions and how they kind of really change with your audience, given that you're also selecting the stories that you want, but you have to tell them to very young kids, so there's a translation aspect over there. Just if you could reflect on that a little bit, that would be very wonderful. Thank you.
It's a complex question. I don't think one can look at this as, narration is in one box and aesthetics is in one box. Your approach to narration is part of your aesthetic, if I could put it that way. So, yeah, I mean, it's in totality, what is it that you're feeling and how is it that feeling you're trying to share. That's like he said, you don't know beforehand that this is what I want to do. You start playing with whatever is your starting point, and then that grows and it develops. The reason why I put certain no's against certain things is because not to create boundaries, but to break the boundaries that are already there in the works that I've seen before me, and also in how can one approach one's work with a different set of sensibility with regards to how I view children. What is my relationship with younger people? And do I look at them as miniature versions of adults, or do I look at them as their individual selves, whether they're 6 months old or 16 years old? So there's a lot of this thing about, like she asked about dumbing down and things like that. So I try to not do those things. So it's more out of the overriding, like sort of the main thing in all my work is the respect for the audience, irrespective of their age, their geographical background, cultural background, economic background. And once you can respect, and I think when I had mentioned trust the audience and their abilities and everything else, then you're truly having a conversation. Otherwise, it's audience is there and they have to listen to me. So I think it's a choice in how you begin your work and how you begin that conversation. So if it is something different from what other people do in the space of children's theatre, then it's different. But that is, being different is not the purpose. Finding the plane and the space for that conversation is more important.
Okay, so I think on that note, we'll end this session. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers.